You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 100.
So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us.
I am so glad that you are here with me again for another week of the podcast. It is such a beautiful start to June. I hope that this sixth month of the year has given you an opportunity to reset things a little bit. Maybe notice what are the things that you thought that you would be doing at the start of this year? What were the goals that you had for yourself? What are some things that you thought would have come easy for you and already implemented in your life? What are some of the things that are going on that don't feel as fulfilling and abundant as you hope they would? And decide maybe this is the perfect time to reevaluate your goals for 2024. We're nearly halfway through the year, which shouldn't make you panic. What it should do is allow you to see that you can recalibrate. You can decide some of the things that you thought you wanted at the start of the year. Maybe we're not on the path of where you're going. Maybe you added too much to your plate for the start of the year and you want to weed out a few things that maybe seem extraneous to you. Maybe there's some things that are going really well and you want to figure out how you're going to expand on those things. But whatever it is, there's never a wrong time to restart over, recalibrate. So I'm hoping that is something that is available to you as you're starting into the new month. This week, I wanted to ask if you would do me a huge favor. I know there are so many of you who listen to the podcast and you reach out and you tell me how helpful it has been to you, how a concept maybe resonated with you a little bit differently after listening to an episode. And I want to ask you if you would be willing to rate and review the So Now What podcast. That would be either on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, and send me a screenshot. I will gladly send you a cup of coffee, i.e., I will send you a $5 Starbucks gift card to have a coffee on me as a thank you for taking time to rate and review the podcast. Why is it important to rate and review the podcast? Because the more people who rate and review the podcast, the more likely it's going to be that when someone is going online and searching for how to create a path for themselves or how to navigate this unexpected life of being childless after infertility or childless after IVF, the podcast will show up and they'll be able to join you and join me every week as we uncover new ways to create a life we love, even if it turned out so differently than we thought it would. So this week, this idea was brought to me by someone that I was coaching last week. And we recognized how it's so easy for us to try to shame ourselves into doing things. I don't know if you've ever noticed that you might do that too, where you don't really want to do something, but you're like, oh, what will so and so think if I don't do it? How is my partner going to view me if I decide not to do this one thing? How am I going to think of myself when I compare myself to the person next to me? If I choose not to go to the gym, or if I do this and I don't do that, and all the ways that we shame ourselves into creating a life that we want to live, but we have been taught that we've got to speak really negatively and poorly to ourselves in order to motivate ourselves to do the things that we think that we should be doing, or to create the life that feels easy and fun and fulfilling. In order to get that life, we've got to claw our way through it. I know that I used to do that. I used to really think that I had to think poorly of myself or speak and think negatively of myself in order to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve. When I discovered life coaching and the ease in which you can live your life that feels happy and fulfilling and joyful, it made me scratch my head a little bit to be like, why have I been doing this for so long? Why have I been talking so poorly and negatively and judging myself for so long? when the alternate is to support and celebrate yourself, to do things that you want to do from a loving place and not a place that makes you feel shameful if you don't accomplish it. That's what I want to share with you today. How can you do the things that you want to do from a sense of joy, from a sense of enlightenment, from a sense of curiosity of what might happen for you if this thing comes easily for you? I know a lot of us have been raised to do things in a certain way. Maybe it was how we heard the people around us speak about themselves. Maybe it was how we saw the people around us work to achieve their goals. And everything might have seemed very rigorous, hard, and sacrificing. Like, that word of just like, oh, you've got to sacrifice in order to create the life that you want. So it makes so much sense that we feel like creating a life that we love, that feels happy and joyful and fulfilling, even though it looks differently than we thought it would, means that we have to sacrifice and that we have to beat ourselves up and we have to think in ways that don't portray us in the light that we want to be portraying ourselves in order to create happiness and fulfillment in our life. So I'm going to talk about how you might start to deconstruct that vision that has been created for you and you've maybe unknowingly accepted as the only way to truth and happiness in your life. It all starts with deciding what it is that you want and why do you want it? Are you choosing goals for yourself that are for you, or are they to make other people proud of you, other people happy for you, other people accepting of who you are and who you are becoming in this life? If right off the gate you are choosing a life that is to please others than it is to please yourself, then of course it makes a ton of sense that it's going to feel really hard. It's going to feel really overwhelming. It's going to really make it seem as though create this ease in your life that you're wanting is a chore because it might not be what you truly want for yourself. But if you maybe have a goal or two that it is something that you have chosen that you want for yourself, how can you accomplish it easily? The first thing is fall in love right this minute with that person that you think you're going to be upon the achievement of that goal. I know that we have this vision of ourselves when we get to that place in our lives where that goal is achieved and we love that person that we're going to become. But we don't realize that we can love that person right this very minute. Imagine how that would feel. Stop what you're doing, unless you're driving. Don't stop. But if you are sitting and listening to this podcast, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to envision the person that you see yourself being upon the accomplishment of said goal. And how does that feel? Imagine, what is she doing? What is the look on her face when you envision yourself at that point in your journey? What are the things that you're doing in your free time? Who are the people that you're spending your time with? What are the activities that you see yourself doing when you become that person that you are striving to be? So when you get your arms around that, write those things down. What are the things that she's doing? What does it look like on her face when she's just at peace? What's giving her joy? What's giving her the fulfillment that makes her so happy? What is she thinking about herself when she's happy upon the achievement of this goal? And write those things down. And then decide that you can think all those things today. You don't have to wait till you get to that goal. On this very day that you're listening to this podcast, you can start to love yourself and see yourself as that person, even if you haven't accomplished the things that you are striving to accomplish to be that person. And that is where this very simple equation begins. A lot of us think that we've got to beat ourselves up in order to be that person or achieve that goal or live that life that we want to live or create that freedom from this burden of infertility that we've been carrying around for so long. And the greatest secret I can give you is that you can believe that you are worthy of all those things right now. That happiness that you feel when you envision that person, feel that happiness today. Live in that place that that woman is living in the future. And when you start to live like her each day, and you tell her that you're so proud of her, when you tell her that you can't even believe how far she's come, when you tell her that she is creating so much with her life, even though it turned out so differently than she thought it would, you are going to create such an easy path for yourself, a path that is full of celebrations of you instead of judgments of you. I know how hard it might be to feel as excited and proud as you think that you are going to feel upon the achievement of your goal, but there is no easier path to joy than deciding that you feel that joy today. I know you might be like, yeah, that's kind of kooky. How in the world can I possibly love myself when I have not even done the things that I promised myself I would do this week or today, or I haven't gotten my workout in the last 5 days? How can I feel proud of somebody who does those things? You just feel proud of them and you feel compassion for them and you maybe have a conversation with them. If you're a newer listener to the podcast, you might not know about these intimate conversations that I have with myself on a regular basis where I talk myself through things. I put myself in this place where I'm separated from my physical being and I have this conversation with that person who hasn't worked out in 5 days. And I say, Lana, don't forget that that's part of someone who you wanted to be. And I want to help you. What do we need to figure out in order to get you to the gym today? Or what do we need to figure out to make it easier for you to meet that goal? If you're trying to figure out a new path for creating connection with people in your life, if you feel like there's not enough people in your life that understand your path, and maybe you want to meet more childless women and feel more surrounded by people that understand your story, but you find yourself just feeling stuck about where you're going to find these people, have that conversation with yourself. Be like, I know that you want to feel more connected to people. Let's brainstorm together, self. Let's figure out, where might I find those people? Where's a place that I could go that women like me might be hanging out? Who are some people I know that might be able to connect me with those people? And then start listening to your response. Because I think for so long, we expect ourselves to just find these magic paths to eternity and to this place where we want to feel fulfillment and joy. And we don't help ourselves find it. We judge ourselves for not having done something yet or not having found something yet. And of course, it feels so heavy. Of course, it feels disappointing. But when you're able to talk to yourself in a kind fashion, in a helpful fashion, in a way that you would help a friend brainstorm through an idea, you're going to be more responsive to that type of communication instead of pointing out what's wrong with you and how disappointing you must be and how you're lazy and all these ways that we have maybe historically heard people around us speak to themselves when they're trying to achieve a goal. And yes, they might go on to achieve their goals, and you may have had people around you that have been very successful, but you deserve to be successful meeting your goals, but also feeling good about what you're doing. So think about that today. Think about some of those things that you thought you wanted to achieve when you set your goals for 2024, when you had this vision of what life would be like in your next year, and decide, how can you make it easier for you? I would love to hop on a call and help you think through some of this stuff because it's new to so many people. It's new to believe that you can actually love a process of who you are becoming before you've already become that person. I want all women like us, women who are childless after infertility, women who were never able to realize their dream of motherhood, to know that they can love themselves and feel proud of who they are, regardless of whether they have children. So I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.